How you guys doing? This is very important in reference to the crimes and the years of their refusal of guidelines of factual evidence against the government. The fact of how long it takes for them to make good on the facts of violations of their government agents in reference to monies and restitution, or, in reference to financial lawsuits and monies, and the fact that they have played this game of trying to cover up their brutality and their misrepresentation of facts of documents. The years, this has been going on for a very, very long time, over 30 years, in reference to daily abuses, daily lies of government as their way of trying to cover up information that has been there before they even got into government, in reference to family history of my parents and grandparents, and the fact of the government trying to get out of the lawsuits when there's been court dates when the government was supposed to pay me money, and in reference to the government trying to steal the life insurance policies of my parents, and the government trying to murder me to steal life insurance policies of my parents. There's got to be more lawsuits in reference to that. And there's late fees and charges and additional lawsuits in reference to the intentional delays of government and their toying with my life, and the fact that they have not paid the monies, and the fact that the cases have interest on them in reference to the amounts of monies that the courts and government owes me in reference to the abuses, the hostage situation, the fact of the government murdering my parents, the government holding me hostage, the government mistaking my identity intentionally, the government trying to falsely profile, the government violating royal diplomatic immunity and international status, the fact of the government intentionally using accusations that they created and falsifications, claiming that they were psychics in their government positions, or claiming that they thought that they would make false hearsay, or the activity of them trying to entrap me and them raping me, physically assaulting me, stealing sperm and genetics, these people blocking me from my mother and father's mansions, and then these people stealing sperm and trying to create ways of them trying to breed into my family name and family wealth is illegal. The activity of their intentional activities in their hidden agendas shows 100% attempts of murder, intentional fraud, intentional activities of trying to get into a family name, to get into a family wealth, and them trying to misrepresent, or them trying to cover their tracks with their lies. Even when there's a hate club list of these people, there's a list of these people that my parents had prosecuted and had court cases against back in the 60s and 1950s and even before, in reference to some people. And the fact of the courts have never paid me nothing. The always called everything about what they have done to me fabricated, meaning like their agents had physically assaulted me, their agents had tried to rape me, their agents had stolen sperm, their agents tried to steal my penis, their agents tried to rape my vagina, these government people tried to steal my genetics, they tried to make up crazy shit that they are so accustomed to doing to Americans as their invasion of murdering and slaughtering American people, as they claimed that they were representatives of the American political system, which is treason for them to have unethical activities, and then they have been claiming that they were representatives of the laws of America. Those politicians need to get put on trial, and they need to get investigated and put on trial for any involvement of theirs in the activity of them murdering my parents and them intentionally altering documents to try to confuse my identity with other people. See, my identity is my identity. The Royal Protocol is a documentation of my identity. My body is a blueprint document of my mother and father's estates. Any birthmarks missing, any scars that have been there since my parents was alive, anything missing or anything that's been altered or damaged, the government gets prosecuted for, and they could face the death penalty. Like, for instance, my penis is documented every year. You understand that? And time and dates of my penis size is documented. It's not ever supposed to get smaller either. You understand that? So in reference to the history of things, such as somebody claiming, oh, they thought they'd steal your penis, and then claim you had a smaller penis, and then claim you weren't who you are because the person that was the child of your mother and father had a bigger penis than you. But you don't fit that now because they stole some of your dick. So now we don't know who you are. Now see, that's attempted murder. Anybody that stole even a fucking millimeter of my penis, or they tried to steal my foreskin of my penis, they get the death penalty. Or they get life in prison. It says, do not touch me, or you can get the death penalty. I'm not going to tolerate nobody's shit. My parents was forever rich. My parents never had no debts. My parents had enough money in the bank to live their life without ever having to work a fucking day in their life ever again. Do you understand that? Back in the day. When my parents was born wealthy. My grandparents was wealthy too. And I was born wealthy. Do you understand why there's guidelines in reference to a person being wealthy and being more valuable than a person getting hurt? Like someone might say, okay, wait a minute. It's kind of like somebody managing something is safer than somebody being in the trenches. You know, somebody that comes from a wealthy family is worth more by not having damage, or worth more by not getting into a situation of endangerment. You understand that? Like some people are better off, or some people are worth more alive than dead. And then some of these people that's tried to murder me, some people might say they're worth more dead than alive. Some of these people are. You ever heard that before? Well, these people that's tried to steal my mother and father's estates, those people have to get prosecuted. And in reference to the timeline of information of how long it takes for the government to realize, or whichever people are good government, to realize which people have stolen from me, which people are blocking me from monies that I was supposed to have received in court cases, or which people can figure out who these people are that are trying to play these tricks. See, covering up the information is attempts of murder. It is delaying the facts of procedural law in reference to prosecuting these people. It's like people always turning a blind eye to everything when it's right there in front of their face. You know, there's documents that say where I'm supposed to be at. I'm supposed to be at my mother and father's mansions. Any other type of bullshit, or, you know, my mother and father's companies might have bought me another house somewhere closer, or close to my mother and father's mansions, or whichever, you know. Not sure what people have done, but I haven't received any information. So, you know, in reference to the situation of people trying to play tricks or delaying the fact of court dates and monies I was supposed to have received, they have to get charged for intentional defrauding of court dates. People trying to steal monies, and people trying to steal trust funds. People trying to play their game of stealing wealth, where they tried to steal a fortune. Like somebody say, oh, it's a reversal of fortune. No, I'm the only child of my mother and father. My parents had it on record. I can't give nothing away. No matter what. No matter what's ever written anywhere. I'm the only child of my mother and father. I'm the owner forever. Never signed, never gave, never sold, never, not never. And I didn't give nothing away to nobody. So the delays of people hoping that they were going to get away with monies that they were holding on to, you're not going to. Eventually you're going to be prosecuted, or you're going to be sitting in prison for the rest of your life for trying to make my life destitute by holding on to monies that my mother had asked and had contract agreements with people to deliver monies to me, but then they've refused and they were trying to get away with it. You ever heard of situations like that? Like somebody holding on to property, or people holding on to money, and then they were hoping or wishing harm would come to that person where they'd get away with stealing the money. You ever heard of people doing that shit? Well, that's what these people are doing. These people are holding on to millions of dollars, and they were trying to wish harm on me. They were trying to harm me, and they were trying to play this destitute game. Well, that's not what the contract said in reference to my parents. The contract did not allow them to make any judgments at all. contracts were like if they saw me in person or if they knew where I was at, they were supposed to deliver money to the mailbox. And in reference to girlfriends that are under contracts or girls that was under contracts. Haven't received any letters from any of them. Which girl in Hollywood doesn't know where I'm at right now? Somebody needs to ask any of the girls that was under contract with my mother and me, meaning like they were in a contract to date me as a celebrity. And some of them are holding on to millions of dollars possibly. They need to ask every female that's on that list and every on the associated uncle and aunt list, like celebrity list of friends, they need to ask them if they know where I'm at right now. On every day. Say, hey, do you know where he's at right now? Or she, he, you know where she, he's at right now is what they might ask them. I'm a she, he, I'm a real hermaphrodite. So someone might say, hey, Mr. Government Man, or hey, Mr. Celebrity, do you know where Chase is at? Or do you know where Little Walt Disney is? Do you know where Little Doris Duke is? Whichever name somebody might use. In reference to the information of asking celebrities or the executives of the company, say, hey, do you know where the owner of the company's at? You got to have it on daily updates of information so they can figure out which people are conspiring. Say, hey, did you send the owner of the company money? Because he's still sitting over in that little house, is what they might say. Waiting on the mailbox. Waiting for something to arrive in the mailbox. Where's the lawsuit monies? Where's the Treasury information? Where's corporate credit cards at? Where's the lawsuit monies in reference to being kidnapped from my mother and father's mansions? There's lawsuits against everybody that trespassed that time when they had kidnapped me. The government has to pay because I'm not supposed to have to go after them. And these people probably don't have enough money to pay the lawsuits that they owe me. So the Treasury has to go after them, and the Treasury has to compensate me. Otherwise, the Treasury would get charged for endangerment. Because I'm the last living relative, and I'm the only child of my parents. Anything that I have to do to go after people, or to have to go out of my way to find out where money is, or which, account information or property information, would be a violation of endangerment. Because of the situation of people trying to murder me, people trying to steal my identity, people trying to murder me, and then other people hoping they'd get away with monies that they were holding on to. You know what I mean? It's like an inside job of tricks, or inside government tricks that they're trying to do, trying to manipulate people. It's what these people have done. Now, let's see. We need to check the court dates when courts had been in session and the closing of those court dates and what monies I was supposed to have already received from any of the court proceedings 20, 30, 40 years ago, even when my father died, when he got murdered from government and then my father was frozen. So we need to see the court dates of monies that I was supposed to have received in reference to court monies. Because the Treasury was supposed to print the monies. Because the thieves, most of them, don't have the amount of money to pay the fucking lawsuits. See, the person that they tried to murder is worth more than their crime. Meaning, like, these people think when they commit a crime, they thought the victim was what their value is. Now, this is very, 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 very important in reference to prosecuting government and people for trying to downgrade a person's wealth and financial value based on the financial value that they came from. Such as this man that kidnapped me, his people that kidnapped me from my mother and father's mansions. Which these men, obviously, they hate wealthy people or people that come from wealth. But they think that their actions is what their value is, which is the conduct of their actions. But the person that they're causing harm to comes from a richer, higher class of wealth than their value. And it's my value that the government gets sued for, not the value of the criminals. Do you understand what that fucking means? And there is a way of evaluating value of any type of person. based on their history, based on their career, based on future earnings, based on history of earnings, based on accounts, based on trust funds, based on insurance, based on history, based on sports, based on career, based on education, based on intellectual accomplishments or inventions. There's all kinds of different ways of evaluating the value of a person. You understand that? Genius protection laws, intellectual protection laws, rare genetic protection status, accomplishments, gold medals, Nobel Peace Prizes, championship rings or championship trophies. In reference to many things, Oscars, Grammys, Tonys. There's all kinds of different, even high school accolades or the particulars of any kind of accolade of which shows some type of acknowledgement of a person's value or a person's activity of accomplishments. Is very important in reference to many things, such as gold medals in martial arts, gold medals in track and field, gold medals in swimming, gold medals in gymnastics, or maybe rhythmic gymnastics, or Oscars, or Golden Glove boxing acknowledgments, or Golden Globes, or Tonys, or Emmys. There's all kinds of accomplishments, or the fact of business, newspapers, certain things in the media, certain things of history, certain things of modeling or the bodybuilding industries. There's certain values of things that are acknowledged that are above just being common citizens or the particulars. And common citizens are good too, but I'm just saying in reference to certain accolades of what a person has accomplished, such as private schools or accomplishments at SAT or the accomplishments of friendliness of many things, or whichever. There's certain values of things in reference to the accomplishments of sports, like I mentioned, or the accomplishments of education, or the inventions. I already mentioned those things, but I'll mention them again. And such as accomplishments on test scores, and university acknowledgments or scholarships, or even though the point of our music industry or piano or ballet, of course, ballet, how you guys doing? And sports and rhythmic ballet or rhythmic gymnastics, how you guys doing? And other sports, of course, and cross-country skiing and things, lots of things of importance. Now, in reference to every delay of the government not paying me any monies, it's going to be attempts of murder, intentional destitute crimes of government, because my parents had financial standards and monies that my parents had provided for me that was to meet those financial standards that my parents had for me. But the government is blocking me from those monies, and that is attempts of murder, and the government was charged for the murder of my parents. They were found guilty in neglect. These government people was. And you know who they are because they're the same people that's been terrorizing my life. Role protocol of my identities in the media 24 hours a day. And the fact that the government has not made good on any financial monies, I've not received nothing. They have not paid me nothing from any of the court cases, not even from when they kidnapped me back in the 1980s, when they kidnapped me from California. They kidnapped me from my mother and father's mansions and the companies, too. Then I got rescued and kidnapped several times. These people kidnapped me. Government has never fucking paid nothing, and they were all CIA and FBI people and certain people that was tied in with those branches of government, and they were tied in with dirty politicians, too. All the race and ethnicity of every individual that's been involved in this has to be documented, and it has to be on public awareness and public display, who they are at libraries and other places.